Hey guys, it's Tatiana, and I want to talk to you guys about what is professional wrestling. Is it professional wrestling or is it sports entertainment? Now, one thing I've noticed a lot is when I'm looking up sports, which I really don't watch, I notice to see that wrestling is not really categorized with other sports a lot of times, and I'm like, isn't wrestling a sport? But then I kind of came down to the conclusion that wrestling is probably just not wrestling. It's probably just sports entertainment. But even though it is sports entertainment, it's still a sport. There's a difference between sports entertainment and just being a sport. I know it sounds contradictory, but honestly, any sport is a type of entertainment, okay? Because anybody who's watching is getting entertained from whatever game, whether it be baseball, basketball, football, wrestling, whatever. You're getting entertained. But what makes sports entertainment with wrestling is how you have drama and acting and all this extra stuff that's going on, which you don't really get from, other sports or whatever like that. So, that's what makes it different from other, you know, sports. You're not going to go see a Heats game and it's going to be drama. The only drama is probably like some kind of fight that they might have during the game or whatever like that. But that would barely happen, whatever. And it's not done to entertain the crowd, of course. The main purpose is to go see a basketball game, and that's your main purpose. But with wrestling, it's not just seeing, two guys or tag team matches and stuff. It's not just that. There's a lot more elements to it along with professional wrestling. Um, Another reason why I say professional wrestling isn't just professional wrestling and it's more sports entertainment is because if you watch wrestling matches from like the 1930s, 40s, or probably even earlier, which you can find, you could probably look on YouTube. You might find them there or other websites. If I find some matches, I'll look for you guys. These are they weren't there for sports entertainment. These were actual professional wrestling matches. Which is nothing compared to what we see today in WWE or even what we saw 20 years ago in WWF. It's not the same at all. Um, like the origins of wrestling, dates way back into ancient Greek times, and you know, these matches will probably lead on to actually having a match until somebody dies, and that's how it was back then. And that was for entertainment, of course, but it wasn't no extra stuff like how we see in WWE, of course. It was just two guys going at it. Whoever dies loses, apparently. But like dating back in the 1800s, they used wrestling for like entertainment, just for like like the circus shows, like those freak shows that they used to have. That's what wrestling used to be part of, these kind of shows and stuff like that. And people would come and see like a really big, strong, muscular guy, because back then being muscular isn't like how cool it is right now. Being muscular was like oh my god, somebody who's really buff or whatever was like a huge achievement that most people weren't able to get or whatever like that. Or just even being strong without having to be muscular was like a huge deal or whatever like that. So these people will be displayed into, circus shows or whatever like that. And they had like, what do you call them? They had hookers and they had, damn it, what's the other one? I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember, but like they had two different type of wrestlers, and they had wrestlers that actually knew how to wrestle, and there's just people who just actually, knew how to just, I guess you could say more submissions, and people who just knew how to sell, and then there will also be people who just really didn't know and just put in the ring just to make it seem like, oh wow, that person must be, a really great wrestler, because they're really just putting it with someone who doesn't really know much about wrestling, but someone who can actually get in a match and do something to make their opponent that wins look like they actually know what they're doing. So, they should use that in circuses or whatever like that. And towards the 1900s, that's when wrestling started getting popular, and they were, wrestlers coming in. I would say not all over around the world, but mostly from Europe that was coming, because obviously that's when they had like migration from European countries coming to America, and it's said that the Irish people were the ones who brought wrestling to America, so we should thank them. So yeah, but anyway, that's how wrestling pretty much came to America, and it was popular during the day. But what they would do is like they would have matches, and these matches would last hours and hours. Like one match would be like 3, 4, 5 hours, okay? Because you're actually wrestling. And back then, it's different from now because what makes it different is that you have it wasn't like contests where it's like okay, it's it's like you can't just see between two people who's gonna win, but it wasn't quick, it wasn't short and entertaining. It was just long, entertaining, but too long for you to actually really grasp onto the match. And it's like oh this is like getting too long. Who's gonna win already? Whatever like that. So that was kind of like the boring aspect of it. Wrestling back then had a lot of rules, and it had it had a lot of rules. Couldn't really break them like how we have here in WWE or TNA, whatever wrestling you're watching today. Very different. Like I said, if I could find some matches or some clips of matches, I'll post them in the link below so you guys can see them. If you ever heard of a move called a Luthez press, it's actually a wrestler who used to wrestle in the early 1900s named Luthez, and he was the first ever undisputed wrestler ever. So there's a little tip for you guys. So if anybody ever asks, you can honestly say this is Luthez because it's actually true. Wrestling isn't just what you see on WWE. It's everything, because you can go anywhere and you see wrestling. They might have different rules and different promotions and stuff like that, or how the game goes, but it honestly came from one thing. Like it originated from one thing and branched out to different things. And there were you should look up matches with Luthez or Egg the Strangler Lewis, who was around that time as well. If you want to go a little bit later, you should look for a little bit later, you had like matches with like Gorgeous George. He was like, I think what he was a heel, like one of the earliest heels in the business, and what made him great, I think there's two things that made him great. Gorgeous George was actually a uh, a psychologist. When you know psychology, you know how to actually, I don't want to say intimidate, but you know ways to get into people's heads. So I think it's something that helped him be such a major heel. I think he was like not the first heel, but I think the first major heel in professional wrestling, and that's what got him over. People really hate him, and he was someone who was he made a big impact in wrestling, and that's what made that's what people want to see in wrestling. People who make big impacts into wrestling. Today, honestly, people go by who looks popular, who looks good, and today's mainly about looks. I don't honestly, the fans of WWE, they don't know shit about wrestling, and that's the part that gets me really upset because I remember the other day I was watching with my boyfriend a TLC DVD, and it had the Hardys, the Dudleys, and Edge and Christian in it. And during the first ladder match with the Hardys and Edge and Christian, obviously the Hardys won. Did they win? I think they did. But anyway, the Hardys won, and what made this really different was the ending of that match. Not only was it a match that they've never, not that they've never seen before, it was the first tag team ladder match, but I mean, it was already done with Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon, I'm sure, and it has been done before, but it's first time a tag team match, and it was really extreme, and you know, even though Eddie Christian lost, the crowd was cheering for them just as much as they were cheering for the Hardys. And that's how you know that someone puts on a great performance. That's how you know that someone has really impressed the crowd. And it's funny because whether who was heel or who was face or whatever like that, it was still, wow, these two really did a good job. Applaud both teams. And with WWE, they would never do that. You had Chris Jericho and CM Punk. It's like these two guys are tremendous wrestlers, and Chris Jericho, yeah, he's a heel, but he's a awesome heel. But just because someone's heel doesn't mean that you can't cheer for them. It's not a bad thing to cheer for the bad guy. He's an amazing wrestler. He was the first undisputed champion of WWE, I'm sure. I think so. I think. But anyway, just because he's heel doesn't mean that you can't cheer for him. The match that they had at WrestleMania 28 and the match that they had at Extreme Rules, really very entertaining. You got to see great wrestling. You got to see a story between them, something very believable. Something that it's like, wow, we really believe this because of, these two are like they said, the best at what they do. And two people can't be the best at something, I guess you can say, but these two, if you could just put them both the best, they really are, and they have shown that. And it's not that you could just cheer for CM Punk because he won or whatever like that. You can applaud Chris Jericho for doing a good job, because you look only as good as your opponent makes you look. If your opponent can't do shit, you're gonna look like, it's gonna make you look bad too. And if they're both performing excellently, then you both look good. So it's like, when the match is over, I can't just cheer for the winner. I could cheer for both of them because I'm like, wow, this is a great match. And that's something that wrestling fans today don't look at. They don't look at how great the match was. They look at, oh, well, Cena won, yay. People don't really understand what wrestling is like. Like I said, in the origins of wrestling, it wasn't, oh, well, there wasn't promotions, and it wasn't, oh, well, okay, fine, he's gonna win, and you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, and the finisher's gonna be this, and boom, he wins. It wasn't like that. It was the best will actually win. And nowadays you have, it's predetermined, of course. If you didn't know that, stop watching wrestling. But it's predetermined, and you're like, okay, well, he's gonna win, so and so, blah blah blah. I don't know if the wrestlers get to choose between who wins or whatever anymore, because it seems so much like WWE is calling all the shots these days. you know um Back in the days during like the Attitude Era, if you read Edge's book, him and Hardy Boys and Dudley was actually choose between them who would win, who would get the title and all that stuff, and everybody's okay with it. Nowadays, there's always the same people winning, like Brodus Clay and all these other people. It is annoying because now it's like, okay, wrestling has become too much of entertainment, because it's different than Undertaker having a streak at WrestleMania. It's different from Andre the Giant being undefeated for 15 years. Totally different. Okay, it's different than Goldberg having how many 99 matches, whatever, how many matches he was undefeated. That's totally different. WWE has taken something like wrestling and just what I don't know how to describe it, but it's like I said, people like Brodus Clay or Ryback, who has like streaks going on right now, that's nothing. And whoever think that's something should really, look back and see what wrestling is. Don't stop and look at the Attitude Era. Go further back into time. Go look in the 80s, 70s, even further if you can, and just look at how wrestling has evolved into what it is now. You'll see it's a total big difference. Like I said, people like Brodus Clay and Ryback do not impress me because they're not wrestling. They're just doing squash matches, and squash matches, even though you can kind of say the same thing about Goldberg, but at least Goldberg, I guess you could say he was It's something about him. He's not like he wasn't a great wrestler or anything like that, but even though he had squash matches, he was able to compete into having really great matches. I mean, look at him versus Brock Lesnar when Stone Cold Steve Austin was the a special guest referee. I like the end when he stunned them both. But anyway, um, like I said, wrestling has changed big time. If you really pay attention, if you watch WWE, only stop, because if you're only watching WWE, you don't know what professional wrestling is. If you know, look back and look at WCW, look at AWA, go just go back and look at past promotions, whether they're still around or not, and look at stuff in Japan. Look at all these things. You'll see, like I said, different places, different times have different things going on. It's not like other sports where the rules are pretty much the same all the time, no matter where you go. But now it's just totally different. It's kind of disgusting how bad it's gotten. And I think the WWE knows that, but the WWE is trying to cater to a different audience right now. They're not really trying to cater to actual wrestling fans. There's a difference between a wrestling fan and a WWE fan. A WWE fan, majority of the time, 99% of the time, don't know wrestling. Because why? You're just a WWE fan. You're not a wrestling fan. You don't. If you're looking at how WWE plays the game, you're not getting what professional wrestling is, and you're not getting the best of professional wrestling. So, like I said, look at other things. It's okay to look at something else. I personally don't watch TNA. For I guess you can say my own choice. I'm very loyal to the WWE, but I personally don't watch TNA, and I don't have a feel for it. But I'm pretty sure that TNA has things about their business that's different from the WWE that you can, there's certain things that you can pinpoint from each business and say this is not going right, this is going right, or whatever like that. And every business has their flaws, and WWE, they're the major promotion in the world right now once it comes to professional wrestling. And because they have no competition right now, I kind of wish that TNA was doing better so that they can so they can compete with WWE, because that's what would make WWE wake up. Once they see that they have other promotions right up their tail, then they're gonna be like, okay, well, we need to do better. What can we do to do better? And that's what the Attitude Era was. If you pay attention, the Attitude Era pretty much came from WCW is doing better than us. What can we do to do better than them? And WWE went, above and beyond to give, unbelievable stuff that we've gotten, obviously. A lot of people say that, the Attitude Era spoiled us. But you know what? If the WWE went to the Attitude Era to the PG era and it's gotten this bad, they can do something better. Now we're in the People Power era. I don't think it's a bad thing. I know people who honestly say they hate John Laurinaitis. I'm like, you just because he's on camera now, you guys hate him. This guy been in the business for God knows how long, and because you see him on camera now, you hate him. I think Johnny Ace is cool. I got a chance to meet him. He's very nice, and you know what? That's what we need, a new era. Let's see how it goes. But the WWE, even with the new era, they have kept things the same. It's gonna take time to change, I think. But honestly, I don't think that they're going in the right step to change things. The best thing going on in WWE would probably be like the whole Brock Lesnar thing. And it's like WWE keep having just, if it's not Cena, it's nothing else. That's why, like me being a huge Cena mark, I'm like not too focused on whatever Cena's doing because it is getting ridiculous. So what I'm really focused on is, more of the wrestling. We don't get that often, but the other last week SmackDown, there was a match. Cody Rhodes partnered with Kane versus the Big Show and Randy Orton, and somebody like Cody Rhodes is not getting the recognition that he deserves from the WWE universe, obviously, because they look at him as a heel and like he can't do any, like, because he's heel, he's not good, and that's not what that means. He's healed for a reason, and he has been healed for a very long time because he's good at it. I can't see him going back to face anytime soon. He's better where he off. He's better at Intercontinental Champion, and he's doing a really great job. And you know what? Him being in the matches with a whole bunch of veterans, and he really put on a tremendous fight with them. So it's like really awesome. If I find that match, I'll put it in the link so you guys can see. Like I said, you could be heel or whatever. It does not mean that you aren't good. You know, you can be face and still be horrible. That doesn't mean anything. You know, you have Brodus Clay, like I said, he's not that great. The right back is not that great. Who else? A lot of, even John Cena. I'm sorry, I love John Cena, but he's not a great wrestler. Sorry. And even if he is a great wrestler, the WWE are only holding him back to do certain things alone. Like people say he has like the 5 moves of doom. It's only because WWE wants him to be, they want him to keep him in a comfort zone. And that match that he had at Extreme Rules with Brock Lesnar, that was taking him out of his comfort zone. But have you seen Cena in a match like that? You know, and not even with him and Kane at was it Vengeance? I don't remember. I think Vengeance. I don't remember which pay per view, but between him and Kane in the ambulance match, which was nothing, obviously, but you know, it still isn't compared to the match that he had with Brock Lesnar at Extreme Rules or whatever. WWE are staying in the comfort zone, and their comfort zone is really weak, and it's not that great. If they had competition, they'd do better. You know, that's just what I think. So, what is wrestling? It is sports entertainment, and it is going in a direction. It's not really. It's like it was staying steady at the end of last year, like towards the summer, like before Money in the Bank. It went up. It got pretty good. It did okay for the summer. It went down a little bit for the fall. Winter, okay. At the beginning of this year, it seemed to be going in the right direction, but then they went back down again. What they do is start with a storyline, and when they get good, they drop it. It's like, you know, just keep going, you know, we actually like this. And like I said, you know what, wrestling has changed over the past 100 years. There are videos out there that are available for you guys to see with, you know, wrestling, the earliest wrestling matches. And like I said, I'll post links below so you guys can give a chance to watch it and hopefully get to understand the history of professional wrestling. It's much more than what you see now, and it's actually pretty cool. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys have questions, I should let you know. Be back and do another video talking about the history of professional wrestling, and you know, let you guys I guess learn more about what it is that you're watching. You know, you cannot just learn something in the present without learning its past, you know. It just, you don't know where it came from. You have to know where something came from to know where they are now and to know how to change where they are to get somewhere better. So let me know what you guys think, and whatever questions you guys have, I'll answer in another video. Hope you learned something, and like I said, I just want people to learn more about professional wrestling. Don't just watch WWE, because if you do, you're not learning anything about the sport. Anyway, see you guys. Bye.